What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Nerf Elite 2.0 Motoblitz. This blaster is a semi-auto flywheeler that's magazine fed with a really cool integrated 6-shot shotgun. This has been the first Nerf brand blaster in a very long time that I was excited to review. This is a cool blaster. Nerf made something good, worth buying. It's been a while, right? Let's get into the review, bros. Included is the blaster, magazine, darts, and instructions. This blaster runs on 4 AA batteries and are installed as shown. Alrighty, so quick overview. This is a bullpup blaster, meaning the magazine is behind the trigger. The blue part of the blaster is similar to the Nerf Raven, and then it has an integrated air-powered shotgun. So this is 2 separate drivetrains or 2 different blasters in the same shell right off the shelf from Nerf. Pretty cool idea. Now going over the external overview, starting up at the front, there's no in-strike barrel lug, which at first bummed me out, but if you put on big barrels, you would block the shotgun barrels. So they didn't put on an in-strike barrel lug, but it's for a good reason. Below the main firing barrel, which is here, is the shotgun barrel. This is a 6-shot shotgun, which is a front loader. You could very simply load like that. Then to prime or charge the shotgun, you pump up the blaster with this pump handle here. This is not a mechanical pull handle like on a Nerf Demolisher. This is an internal air tank blaster. So you pump it up and it stores the pressure in an internal tank, just like old school air guns. Then to fire, you press the trigger, which is on the right and the left-hand side. Full ambi, bro. And it fires all of them at once. It is a shotgun. Interestingly, the number of darts you load in here does not have an impact on your chrono velocity. So if you just load the shotgun with 1 dart, it'll still fire at normal velocity. It will not be higher, it will not be lower. And the instructions say to pump it 8 times, but there is an overpressure release valve in there, so if you pump it 20 times, you're not going to blow up the tank. So I'd say pump it up until you start hearing the hiss of the overpressure valve, and then you know you're full. And that's an overview of the shotgun portion of this blaster. Keep in mind, this is permanently attached to the blaster. It's not a removable attachment, which is kind of a bummer because now that I see this, I want to put this onto my other blasters, but however, that makes it a lot stronger. The Raven with the mediator barrel is a very similar configuration, but when you're pumping and using this one, the attachment will rattle a little bit. Because it's an attachment, you can pull it off and put it on your Strife or another blaster. That modular customization is really cool, but it is less stable, so there is an advantage to the Motoblitz configuration. But overall, the shotgun portion of this blaster works very well. It's extremely useful, and it's oriented as a master key or an under-barrel shotgun configuration. That's the overview of the shotgun portion of the blaster. Now returning to the main blaster. Up here we have a front iron sight, which you can see through the built-in scope unit here. There are little crosshairs built into the front of the little scope right here, which you can see through back here. However, unfortunately, this scope is way too low down to the blaster that you can't actually see through it. When you put your face on the cheek weld, it's just way too low. The only way to look through it is to treat this like a pistol and to pull it out in front of you. And on top of the useless scope is an in-strike tack rail, so if you want to put on a red dot or a different scope, you totally can. There are 2 more tack rails, one on each side, one right here and one right here, meaning there are 3 rails total. Thank you very much, Nerf, for the tactics. I love it. Around on this side is the battery tray. Of course, you get in there and install your 4 AA type batteries. Of course, being a flywheel powered blaster, the main blaster will not function without the batteries, but the shotgun is functional without the batteries installed. Now down to the trigger. This is a mechanically operated semi-auto system. It's a pretty smooth trigger, and there are no locks or anything that add a bunch of friction to it. It's a pretty good trigger pull. However, it feels more like the Raven trigger than the Strife trigger, and that's because it's a similar bullpup system to the Raven. So when you're pulling on something mechanically here and the thing is happening over here, there's going to be a bunch of flex in the plastic, of course. It's a pretty subtle difference, and it's not a big deal, so overall it's a pretty good trigger. Below the main trigger is the rev switch. Of course, being flywheel powered, you want to hold that for a moment before you fire. Now down to the grip. This grip is a little bit smaller than average, and it's also a thumb hole stock. The grip itself is a little bit more narrow than the Elite average, especially compared to the Raven. But that's not really the annoying part for me. The annoying part is this little bar here. I'm not really a huge fan of thumb hole stocks because it restricts your wrist a little bit. And this is no exception. My wrist does bump into that. It's a little bit annoying. After you dump a few mags through this, you can get used to it, and it's not that big a deal. I just think this could have been rounded off a little bit for comfort. So overall, it's not my favorite grip, but it's tolerable for a thumb hole stock. And below the grip, we have a sling mount right here. Moving to the rear of the blaster, right here, we have an access door. To open that, you can just pull down, which allows you to get your finger in there to clear out certain types of jams and malfunctions. However, I did not experience any jams or malfunctions with this blaster. Now to the magazine well. To get the mag out, you strike the mag release, which is right here. This is on the center line, so a right and left-handed shooter can use it equally. Full ambi, bro. The included magazine is a 10-round banana mag similar to the original Modulus magazine. But the magazine well itself is compatible with almost all of the in-strike magazines I tried it with. 18-round stick mags? Totally work. 25-round symmetrical drum mag? Totally works. 35-round Raider drum? Totally works. However, if you're a left-handed shooter, this is going to be almost unusable. It's super in your way. way. But a right-handed shooter can use this totally fine. However, the 50-round Titan drum magazine does not work. It does not seat into the magazine well. It is not compatible. I suspect if you got a Dremel and you shave that little piece of plastic down, it might fit, but even if it did fit, it would be really difficult to shoulder and hold this blaster because of how bulky it is. But this is the only magazine that I tried that is not compatible with the Motoblitz. But the magwell and the magazine work just as you'd expect, other than that one magazine incompatibility. And the Motoblitz is what you call a bullpup. A bullpup has the chambering behind the trigger, meaning the magazine or the loading device is behind the trigger, like this. This contrasts with a standard design where the magazine is in front of the trigger, like up here. In the real steel world, the advantage of a bullpup is an increased barrel length without increasing the size of the overall rifle or carbine. Since it's a flywheeler not utilizing a compression barrel, being a bullpup is totally for the tactics. But if this were a traditional blaster where the magazine was in front of the trigger, like on a Strife, the shotgun would have had to be pushed up about 6 inches minimum, making the total blaster much longer. So this bullpup is not compact for the same reasons as a real steel bullpup, but it's actually more compressed than a traditional blaster could be. Or I'm just rationalizing the tacticalness of a bullpup. I don't know. And because it's a bullpup, your reload muscle memory is going to have to change a little bit. It's a little weird at first, but after you reload it a dozen or 2 dozen times, you'll figure it out. That is the magazine and the magwell. Moving on, over here, there's also another sling mount right here. And back to the stock, this is a fixed-in-place, non-adjustable, non-removable stock. That is an external overview of the Motoblitz. Now I'll show you the blaster firing. Starting with blue Nerf Elite 2.0 darts. Now shooting some waffle head darts. Operating this blaster was tons of fun. I did not experience any jams or malfunctions. The main blaster operates just like you'd expect. If you've shot a Nerf Raven, it's very similar to that. The trigger pull, the reload, holding the blaster, it holds like the Raven, a bullpup. And operating this shotgun was tons of fun. It's a 6-dart shotgun, and they didn't drastically reduce the firing velocity, so it shoots just as hard as the other shotguns available. I did leave the shotgun fully pumped for a few hours, and I noticed a small change in chrono velocity. So if you use this at an HVZ event, just make sure every half an hour or something, you just give it an extra 2 or 3 pumps. With the stock over pressure valve, you have no risk of blowing the tank. Of course, if you mod that, be careful. And that pressure change is worth noting, but it's perfectly ordinary with Nerf guns. To compare this blaster to others, I put it up on my chronograph. With the main flywheel portion of the blaster, I got an average velocity of 69 giggity feet per second, which is almost smack dab on that elite par of 70 feet per second, so the main blaster is shooting perfectly normal. Then I tested the shotgun portion and achieved an average velocity of 59 feet per second, which is slower than the primary average of 70 FPS, but for a shotgun, that's pretty good, especially for a 6-dart shotgun. That's amazing. And interestingly, I did not see a chrono change if you load only 1 dart or all 6. You don't have higher or lower velocity, you have the same, so I'd say load up all 6, of course. That is the objective information I can provide on the Motoblitz. Now to my personal opinion. Overall, I'm stoked for this blaster. This is the first Nerf brand blaster in a very long time that I enjoy using. It's so cool to see a tactical, fun blaster that works well, it's fun to hold, it's fun to play with, it's a great blaster. It's nothing new here. They've done shotguns, they've done master keys, they've done bullpups, but it's the combination of everything off the shelf, out of the box, which is cool. As I mentioned, if you get the Raven and you add the Mediator barrel, it's a very similar configuration here. But the Motoblitz has a 6-dart shotgun instead of just a 3-dart shotgun. And the shotgun is very stable. It's permanently integrated into the main shell, so there's no wobble or creak. Compared to a barrel attachment, which is going to move around a little bit, you can't pump this quite as vigorously. It's not a huge deal, but it's a difference, and it's worth noting. Of course, you can pop this off and customize it, which is cool. Customization is awesome, so it's not objectively better or worse. It's just a different option on the market that's actually cool and new and adding something to the market. Way to go, Nerf. It's been a while. So my personal overall opinion on the Motoblitz is very positive. If you want to buy one of these and run this, I would personally recommend waffle head darts with the main blaster. But for the shotgun, I think elite darts are actually better than waffle head darts. I just said elite darts are better than waffle head darts. What's happening to me right now? But hear me out, it's a shotgun. The point of a shotgun is to guarantee a hit at close range, or that's what I use it for. When I use waffle head darts, they're too accurate. It's like using a super tight choke on a shotgun. That's great if you want to really blast one small area, but if you're just trying to spread it out, the elite darts are perfect for that. And if you're trying to dodge a 6-dart elite dart shotgun when all of them are swerving around and fishtailing, that's going to be insanely difficult to dodge. So definitely waffle head darts out of the main gun if you're trying to hit what you're aiming at, but elite darts finally have a purpose out of the shotgun. So overall opinion of the Motoblitz is really positive. Now to the question, to buy or not to buy. If you're looking for a flywheel primary and you have use for a shotgun or a master key like this, definitely consider this blaster. I've most commonly seen these integrated shotgun units as emergency backups if your primary goes down or if you get jumped at very close ranges. For example, if you're playing an HVZ event, it's not to your advantage to pre-rev as you turn a corner blind, because you could alert your enemy or a zombie around the corner that you're coming just by the noise. So you can clear a corner with this pre-pumped and ready to fire without making noise, which is awesome if you're playing game types that would benefit from this type of addition. It's bigger and bulkier than a Raven, so if you don't care about the shotgun, I think a Raven would be a better option. But if you think you'll use the shotgun and you want the advantage of this being firmly integrated, it's really strong, it's solid, it's right out of the box built this way, then definitely consider the Motoblitz for sure. I just gave a positive buy recommendation on a Nerf brand blaster to actual Nerfers and not cosplayers. It feels like it's been years since I've done that. And it's worth it. This blaster's so cool. Nerf is actually making cool blasters again. I hope they continue. Nerf, way to go, guys. I don't know who's responsible for this, but high five to you, dude. And this shell, the lines here are super cool. I'm really excited to see what types of paint jobs people apply to these. So that concludes my opinion of the Nerf Elite 2.0 Motoblitz. Hopefully I've laid out everything you need to make an educated purchase decision on your own. If you'd like to buy one of these, I'll put a purchase link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical.